Alright, today I'm going to do a quick video about Animal Crossing New Horizons, the new Animal Crossing that was just released. I'm going to talk about time traveling. First I'm going to do, just going to jump right into how to do time traveling. And then I'll talk a little bit more about the implications, a little bit more in-depth afterwards. So if you're interested in knowing about how to do it, I'm going to put that right now. And if you're more interested about things like, is it cheating? What is it going to affect in your village? Things like that. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more afterwards. So first, how to do it. On the topic of how to, here, the first thing you want to know is when to. Now, when you're going to want to do this, as you can see, I don't have any fruit on my trees. I've already dug up all my fossils. You've kind of done everything that you can do in one day. And you can see I have some fresh trees that are still growing. And, like, let's say you want to get those fresh trees up quicker. Hi, Rold. The first thing, that you think is, well, I'll just wait. But let's say, like, you just really need some bells right now, or you just really want those trees to come up quicker. Time travel is the perfect way to do this. So the first thing you want to do, step one, is going to be save your game. Wrap things up for now, save and end. When it goes back to this menu, make sure not to hit A, because that'll just go right back into the game. So you want to save, let it go back out to your main menu. There you go. And then once it loads back to your main menu, make sure not to turn off the power or anything while it's saving, obviously. Once you go back to the main menu, you're going to go to your home. You're going to close out of that. And then, I still want to stay logged in as me. And then you want to go to your system settings. From system settings, you're going to scroll straight down until you get to system. Once you get to system, click that, scroll down, and you're going to see date and time. So you want to go to date and time. Now this is important. Turn off the synchronized clock via internet. If you leave that on, it's not really going to change your time. It'll just resync it. So you don't really have to change your time unless for some reason you want to play at night when it's daytime. I did actually have that situation when I played New Leaf. I would sometimes switch the time around 12 hours because I would only get to play at night because of my job. So you can do that if you would like to experience, if you would just like to get daytime bugs, for example, during the night. But so you just go to day, go ahead one day, and then hit OK. And so now the game is going to think that a day has passed. And the result of that is going to be you will get, for example, fruit on your trees. You will get new fossils in the ground, things like that. Although I should point out that you're only going to get fruit on your trees like every, I think it's every 3 days. So it's not going to be immediate unless you're like a day before you should be getting fruit on your trees. But it will speed up the process. Okay, so now the obvious way to tell if you were successful is that you will get Tom Nook's announcement. So if you're getting Tom Nook's announcement, that means a day has passed. See, now it's saying Monday, even though today for me is actually Sunday. Yeah, you didn't have much news. But seeing that announcement means you were successful. So now a day has passed, and you will get all the benefits of as if a day had passed. You can see now all my flowers are in bloom. They weren't before. There should be fruit on the trees. Yeah, so you got fruit on the trees. You can see my nice butts. You want to make sure to harvest your butts every day. Okay, so that'll do it for the how-to portion of the video. Now, next up, we're going to talk more about the benefits and the details about time traveling, what to do and what not to do, for example. So, if all you wanted to know was how to do it in the new game, feel free to stop watching here. Make sure to leave a like if I helped you. Otherwise, feel free to continue on to the next portion. So the obvious question is, what will change when you time travel forward one day? Now, the obvious things are going to be like collect fruit from trees, check your shops, because the shop is going to be different every day. Dig up fossils. I believe you can get 3 to 4. I've been getting pretty consistently 4, but I know sometimes you can only find 3, or at least that's the way it worked in the last game. You can also farm your resources from rocks and trees, like iron and the different types of wood. The less obvious ones are going to be things like getting the rewards for visiting the Nook Stop. If you do that every day in a row, you get more and more bonus miles. You're also going to be able to do the Nook Plus rewards. Those first 5 will give you bonus Nook miles, so you'll be able to do that. Find the money rock. Sometimes people forget to do that every day. Look for messages in bottles is another good one, because you can get free items that way. I've gotten some pretty cool stuff from those messages in bottles. Being able to get the different recipes is very helpful. Talking to visitors. So talking to visitors like Gulliver. And on that topic, advancing things. So, for example, Gulliver's reward. If you time traveled ahead a day, you don't have to wait to get his reward for helping him. You can also advance like your house being built or upgraded, items being delivered from the Nook Stop, any kind of things that get mailed to you that sometimes will take a day of real time. Gulliver's reward is the easiest one to think of because, he seems to show up a decent amount and the rewards are definitely worth it. Now, as far as what time travel can't do, it does seem as though it is limited where you can't, skip ahead to partake in events. They have some kind of protection for that. Now, I haven't personally tested this myself. However, I did read someone who was talking about it who had data mined the game, and it seems as though they have some kind of protection against that. Although it's probably best not to look into it too much, because obviously if they don't want you doing it, you shouldn't try to cheat to get around it. So if you want to do the events, you'll probably have to change back to real time and participate in them on the day that it's supposed to happen. So the obvious question is going to be, is time travel cheating? Now, this is going to probably be the most controversial topic of time travel. But, hear me out. I don't think that it is cheating for 2 reasons. First of all, it doesn't break the game's terms of service. They've never actually punished anybody for using time travel in any of the games. Even New Leaf, which was online, they've never punished anybody for doing it. On top of that, it would be extremely easy for them to put a protection into the game that would prevent or punish you for time traveling. Just like earlier games, they would punish you for turning your game off without saving, because you could do that to get around random events or making mistakes or, things of that nature. Now, there were games like Pokemon that had it where if you changed your in-game time to try to cheat the system and get things ahead of time, it would just block you from any time-based event for 24 hours. Now, it would be super easy for them to put that in the game, but they don't, because time traveling is a play style. If, for example, you work 5 days a week, or if you have a lot of school and homework 5 days a week, you might really not have a lot of time to play except on the weekends. So you might want to make a lot of progress on the weekends, and the only way to really do that, to catch up, would be to skip ahead days once you do everything. And another good reason that they don't care if you time travel and get things progressed faster is this is a non-competitive game. it does not give you an edge over other players to progress faster. You might get things unlocked quicker, but there's no competition. If anything, it benefits your friends because then you can give them things. So there's really no reason not to time travel if you don't feel like, unless you just don't feel like doing it. Personally, I'll do it maybe once or twice a day at most, but generally I won't do it just because I like to keep it slower paced. If as soon as you finish everything you can do for the day and then you skip ahead, you feel like you kind of always have to do that. Whereas if you're not skipping ahead, you do everything you do that day and you're done. You're done for the day. You go and play some other game or you go and enjoy something else. But if you like sitting down and playing this game for long stretches, or if you like to play it multiple times throughout the day, it might be beneficial to skip ahead. And there's really no negatives to it other than you might feel that you're progressing too quickly, in which case you can just stop time traveling forward. Okay, so on the topic of it not really having any negatives, it is true that doing it correctly doesn't seem to have any negatives. However, you do want to be very careful not to skip ahead more than a day. The reason for this is that you can end up skipping ahead too far and either missing important things, having villagers leave that you might not want to leave. Your whole thing could end up covered in weeds. Basically, things could progress too quickly, and you don't have a chance to intervene as if you haven't played the game for that stretch of time. So, for example, if you accidentally changed the month instead of the day, I had one. Or the year would probably be significantly worse than that. So pay very close attention when you're skipping the time ahead. Because as far as I'm aware, there's no way to go back. Once you've loaded your game in and that time has skipped, it doesn't seem like there's a way to reverse it. Now, the reason I say that I don't think there's a way to go back is I have already personally experimented because I wanted to see what would happen if I turned my sync clock via the internet back on. And I was curious, would it act as if I had progressed a day, or would things go backwards? Like, would it revert back to that other day? It does not seem to do either of those things. It just turns your time to what the internet is telling you the correct time is, but it doesn't seem to actually affect anything in your game. Now, I assume if there was an event going on that day, like if they were having, let's say, an Easter event, and you had skipped ahead several days already, I'm assuming if you turned your clock back to sync with the internet, you would get the Easter event. Now, obviously, no one's really had a chance to experiment with that yet. However, it did seem like Celeste showed up on the first day of spring to give you the recipe for the Star Wand and tell you about meteor showers and, you know, falling stars and all that. And it happened for my friend who had his set synced to internet, and so I synced my internet back and she was there, sure enough. So I believe anything that's an event that's supposed to take place on that day, you can just sync it back with no repercussions or punishments. But it's not going to revert anything, and it's not going to act as if a day progressed, which is what I had thought would happen. So, in conclusion, I personally do not believe time traveling is cheating. That is an opinion, though, not a fact. So, if you have a differing opinion, please feel free to leave a civil comment down below. And, you know, I'm always willing to hear other people's opinions. It is safe if done correctly, and it does not generally have a negative impact on anything. It's just a play style. It's just a way that some people like to play the game, and it's always been in Animal Crossing, as far as I'm aware, going all the way back to the first game. So some people are going to do it, some people aren't going to do it, but you know what? It doesn't affect you. So if you don't like to do it, don't do it. If you like to do it, do it. If you enjoyed my video, make sure to leave a like down below. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. I am going to be doing an Animal Crossing video on how to move entire trees, because I had a little difficulty figuring out how to do it. They sort of hint at it, but I missed it, so I had to have someone else tell me how to do it. So I'm going to leave just like a quick video, probably shortly after this one, on how to do that. But other than that, have a good one.